Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and this is my, 14th episode now, 14 weeks that I've been doing on the tube, and we're going to be talking about the different shows that I've gotten to watch over the past week, and actually, there's quite a few of them. I don't have that many film reviews to do this week as normal. Usually I could fill up a whole week's worth, but definitely going to be taking some time talking about some TV this week. And we're going to get it started with the big one, and it's the 4th season of Rick and Morty. Because the new season ended this past Sunday, and specifically this last episode was one of my favorite episodes of Rick and Morty. It had intrigue, it had emotion, it had some crazy references, and it was just batshit crazy. And that's what Rick and Morty is, right? And overall this season, there are some great episodes, and I really, really enjoyed them a lot. And really thinking about it, going back, because the season was split up in half, so you have to think about the episodes before the 6-month break, and then after, and really thinking about these episodes. Some of them are top tier Rick and Morty, and there's great references, really great humor, and some emotional weight to some of these episodes. I think my favorite one was the Vat of Acid episode, and that was part of the second half of the season. That blew me away. And Morty keep redoing his life like a video game, and it was such a clever concept. Some of the episodes, I know there was the one episode that got a lot of controversy because of 9/11 jokes. In general, that episode I wasn't even a huge fan of. It just kind of felt like just an Aliens ripoff and not much else. But there's some great casting this season, and Taika Waititi was in one of the episodes. It's like, do you want to develop my app? And Sam Neill was also in that episode, and that was a lot of fun. The stupid dragon episode. There was a lot of fun to be had this season, and some of the episodes were very daring, like the train episode with all the meta humor, and it just went there. And this season was pretty ambitious. It was a bit hit or miss, but in general, I really enjoyed it. I watched the first season of Veep on HBO. I've been on a Armando Iannucci kick lately. I watched the first season of Thick of It, and then rewatched in the loop, and getting a chance to watch this. Julie Louis-Dreyfus is amazing. She kills it in this show. She really captures his humor, his clever satire, and just runs with it. And the whole rest of the cast, like Tony Hale's hilarious, Anna Chumley, she is great, and just how this show really captures that idea of politics and the lunacy of it, and just how ridiculous all of this. It's like you say one thing and it's misconstrued in this way, and just all these different kinds of things, and capturing that life under a microscope. It's so funny, it's so sharp, and this first season dealt with some crazy things. It's like, what if a woman politician's pregnant out of wedlock? And the lunacy of you have to find this date back then to pretend hey, we got married then. And instead of her trying to come up with this on her own, she calls her secretary to look up her schedule, and ridiculous stuff like that. And just the politicking, trying to get their support. This one episode where this one congressman is just no, I don't want your support. Oh, now I do want your support. Now I don't want your endorsement. And just the Armando Iannucci is just so clever in the way that he could just capture how ridiculous all of politics in general are. And I feel like the only thing missing out of this was Peter Capaldi and Tucker just showing up and just dropping F-bombs everywhere. That would have been fun. But, this show's really clever and really well constructed on its own, and didn't really need to lean on his other works, but it has very similar themes. Season 3 of Killing Eve. this season's been really hit or miss for me, and it's getting into that territory where I had the same feeling for Handmaid's Tale, where I just feel like it's spinning wheels. The performances are great, similar to Handmaid's Tale. They introduce some bits and pieces of interesting plot points. Like, there's a big death at the beginning of this season. But one of the most frustrating things is so much weight is lost in this season because it has more fake deaths than Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. And that's saying something, because it was extremely annoying. And it's just like, why do I care, and why do I feel any sense of finality or emotional heft if I'm like, they're probably just going to show up a couple of scenes later, because who else did that earlier this season? And I feel like Eve and Villeneuve have some arcs in this season, but I feel like a lot of it's very similar, and even how the season ends winds up in a very, very, very similar place with both of them together, and at least this one took a little bit of a twist on it, and it leaves it open for me to be interested to see if they do take a particular step where I thought this show might have been leading up to, and I'm intrigued to see. But in general, the third season was like, it was good television, but it wasn't like the first two seasons where it really brought something very interesting and intriguing. A very English scandal. So this Amazon series, it was a mini-series, and this features great performances from Hugh Grant and Ben Whishaw about this politician in England who has a gay affair with this young man, and it falls pieces, and then he starts trying to go public, and this is in the 60s, and this is not a good thing, because this could destroy Hugh Grant's career and could even go into prison because it was illegal to be gay. And instead, he tries to put a hit out on Ben Whishaw. And the music is great, and like the composed music and also the music choices are great. It really captures the atmosphere of the show, and also the era, and the performances are great, and it's intriguing, it's tense, and you're really thinking like, is justice going to be served? And it's a complex relationship because Hugh Grant's so charming, and you just feel like you want to be on his side, and then Ben Whishaw really is so slimy at times. At least to me, I felt like his character was extremely unlikable, but he was done wrong and used, and it's just like, and had his life attempted on, and it's just like so complex on like who you're rooting for in this situation. And sometimes I had to take a step back and be like, Hugh Grant tried to have a guy killed. Stop buying into how charming he is. And that says a lot about Hugh Grant and the complexity that this series brings. And it's 3 episodes, and it was definitely worth it. It's just like a 3-hour movie. And it was great. You should go check it out on Amazon Prime. I watched the first season of We Bare Bears. It's available on Hulu. It's from Cartoon Network. And it's just a fun time about 3 bear brothers. There's a polar bear, there's a panda, and there's a grizzly bear. And they're just, it's silly, it's endearing, and it's one of those kinds of shows where it's like similar to like Regular Show, and where it's just like crazy outlandish situations each 12-minute episode. And I think the one that really stuck with me was them trying to solve the problem of people making noise at the movie theater and being shh ninjas, and it was just silly. The show's silly, and Panda's endearing. Grizzly is just he's like that guy. He's like thinks he's the unofficial leader of the group and makes these bad decisions all the time. And then Ice Bear is just like speaks in the third person, makes snappy comments ever so often, and he was actually my favorite. I was always looking forward to hearing what he was going to say next. It's a fun show, and it's definitely kid friendly, but it's also something like adults can enjoy, as I did. When They See Us, and this is a Netflix miniseries, and This show's really important, especially now. With everything going on, protesting happening all across our country because of just that systematic racism and police violence. And this show is about a group of young boys who are guilty because they're young men of color and are sentenced for raping a woman when there's no real evidence, but they're guilty because they're not white. And this show, I wanted to jump through the screen and punch the police in this show so many times. And it isn't just so bad as just showing the atrocity that happened in terms of this miscarriage of justice. It shows the investigation and the interrogations, which are so uncalled for. And these are like 14, 15, 16-year-old boys being abused by the police. And then it shows the trial. And just this disgusting bias. But it goes further because it shows what this can do to somebody years later when they finally make it out of prison. Or what prison does to them. And it's harrowing, and it's a tough watch, but it's an important watch. Honestly, this is something, with everything going on, if you have access to Netflix, you need to watch When They See Us, because this is the perfect example of something where it captures what's going on in our country. And it's interesting because I saw some data in an article about how The Help is like the most watched movie on Netflix right now. They should be watching When They See Us, because this is something that Ava DuVernay is amazing. Absolutely amazing director. And this is, I think, her best work. And it really captures that emotion and the fear that happens. And these are just kids. And it's so, makes you feel so much watching this. So go check this out because it's important. And it's also great. It's great television, but it's so important. I got to watch the first season of Ramy, and because like the new season came out, I wanted to catch up a bit, and I loved it. It's funny. Ramy is a great central character because there's a lot of complexities there. He's funny, and he just really captures, his journey captures so many different aspects of his religion, and seeing how his reaction to everything changes over time, and being able to see the different kinds of aspects and perspectives on Muslim culture and religion. And there's different episodes where it shows his different family members and all their different journeys. And his episode about his mother is particularly interesting as she becomes like a Lyft driver. And then his sister dealing with a man who fetishizes the fact that she's Muslim. And it's so intriguing, and you just go for this roller coaster ride of his relationships and everything. It was a great show. And I started the first couple episodes of the second season, and it's intense. It goes to new places. So go check out Ramy. I watched Dear, the new series on Apple TV+, and each episode takes a public figure, and they really talk about their lives and their influences, and then real people who wrote them letters. You get to see a capture of their story and how they influenced them. And this is a really powerful show. And Ali Reisman and Misty Copeland, who are two athletes, probably were the most affecting episodes. But you have Spike Lee, you have Oprah. It's such an intriguing show. Each episode really captures their influences on things, and you should really go check it out. And then I watched the first season, Absolutely Fabulous. And Jennifer Saunders is so great. She's hilarious. She captures such a great show. And it's really funny British television with caustic wit, and this should be called Absolutely Extra because that's how crazy this show is. But it's been a great week in terms of television for me. There's some really important shows to check out. Please go check out When They See Us. And thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.